The contradictions of Bob Knight's volatile brilliance, the championships, and the outbursts, the hallmarks of a life of white and black, collided with a reality equally stark.
Should Bob Knight violate any of these requirements, he will be terminated. This is a zero-tolerance policy.
I would have to be an absolute moron with the things that have been laid down on me.
Zero tolerance was born of this incident with Neil Reed. Zero tolerance lasted 117 days, during which Knight, his job of 29 years in the balance, was said to be insubordinate, uncooperative, and verbally abusive.
This persistent and troubling pattern of behavior has led me to only one conclusion.
The final act, a chance encounter with a freshman, diagrammed by Knight like a play, led to threats against the student and the coach exhausting his final chance.
I notified him that he was being removed as basketball coach, effective immediately.
Emotions ranged from outrage to grief.
We all went up and hugged him, individually, and then he left.
I'm going to tell you my side of this thing.
Tonight, in his first television interview since his firing, former Indiana coach Bob Knight, live. Sunday evening had all the trappings of a coup d'etat in Bloomington. To many Hoosier loyalists, that is exactly what happened when Bob Knight was fired. University President Miles Brand is reported tonight writing key university alumni and donors to explain his decision. Brand's State of the University address, originally scheduled for today, has been postponed indefinitely. In a moment on this SportsCenter special, we will hear from Knight live. Today in Bloomington, Knight's job was filled on an interim basis by his assistant coach, Mike Davis. His hiring may forestall the transfer of many Hoosier players. Davis today spoke of conflicting emotions.
For Mike Davis to be the head coach of Indiana University is a miracle. This program is a great program. Coach Knight's a great coach. And this program, if it wasn't September, could go out and get a great coach, a big-time coach.
Davis is officially Indiana's interim head coach. Speculation for that job and the permanent position had involved Steve Alford, who is beginning his second year at Iowa. Alford played on Knight's final championship team back in 1987, but today he left no wiggle room. Alford is staying at Iowa.
Firsthand, what he's able to do, and for it to come to an end this way is very sad, especially to my alma mater program and a school that I've had an awful lot of ties with. And in saying that, I wish them the very best, and I wish them the very best in a search. But I don't want that search to include me.
Meanwhile, Bob Knight, in his first public comment since his firing, told Dave Kindred of the Sporting News he regretted not taking the University of Delaware head coaching job back in July. Knight also said Indiana University had not been a good place for him over the last 4 years and that he and his wife will soon be moving from the Bloomington area. In a moment, Bob Knight, live, interviewed by Jeremy Schapp on an ESPN Sportscenter special. We will continue and talk with the coach, the former coach of the Hoosiers, in a moment.
Tonight, we had the perfect meal for us. The Olive Garden's never-ending pasta bowl. You pick any of their special pastas, and you get all the free refills you want, plus all the salad and breadsticks for $7.95. Good thing I was born hungry. The Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family.
It's working!
People do some strange things to cars. That's why there's Carfax. We'll give you the real history of any used car, and that could save you thousands. Visit your dealer or go to Carfax.com.
Man, I'm hungry.
What, $1 for a sliver of raw fish?
It's sushi.
Sushi? Where I'm from, we call that stuff bait.
What else can you get for just $1?
Well, I can get a 20-minute phone call for only 99 cents.
Quit kidding around.
No, it's true. Dial 10-10-220. It's just 99 cents for all calls up to 20 minutes.
And just 7 cents a minute after that.
And get this, there's no monthly fee.
10-10-220 really is a great deal.
We know. Hey, you forgot to cook this.
Dial 10-10-220. Get ready for a whole new level of clean. Introducing Advanced Cleaning from Crest Multicare. The best Crest ever at repelling stains, tartar buildup, and that filmy feeling. And that's a clean that'll make you smile. New Advanced Cleaning from Crest Multicare.
Tonight, we had the perfect meal for us. The Olive Garden's never-ending pasta bowl. You pick any of their special pastas, and you get all the free refills you want, plus all the salad and breadsticks for $7.95. Good thing I was born hungry. The Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family.
Now, with one of these Nokia mobile phones, you can play 3-Play just about anywhere. At the country club, dining al fresco, going to the beach. 3-Play from ESPN.com. It's free. It's sports. Give me the briefcase. It's money.
I was able to play 17 years for the Miami Dolphins.
Stand up.
I'm going to miss it.
Dan Marino, Sports Century, the top 50 and beyond. Friday at 8, only on ESPN Classic. To get ESPN Classic, call 1-800-CLASSIC today.
Welcome back to our SportsCenter special. It has been just over 2 days since Indiana University fired the head basketball coach that won that school 3 national championships. Standing by in Indiana, my colleague, Jeremy Schapp. Good evening.
Thanks, Bob, very much. We're joined here by Bob Knight, just a few miles from the campus of Indiana University in Bloomington. Bob, let's start. 3 national championships, a gold medal at the Olympics, more than 700 career victories. On the flip side, your own university, where you've worked for 29 years, has detailed a pattern of misbehavior, and it says you finally crossed the line. Still, did you ever think you would be fired?
Well, I think, Jeremy, when I first came to Indiana, I really didn't know what the future would hold. I'd coached at the military academy for 8 years, 6 years as a head coach, and when I came here, this was a real experiment for me and a real chance to do some things with the game of basketball that I thought I wanted to do. And I think for a long period of time, I think maybe, I don't know, I worked through 2 presidents, a lot of vice presidents, a lot of members of the board of trustees, and really had no problems at all occur with these people during that time with those people. And I think I had an understanding with them. I think that they understood some things I was trying to do. I think that we were able to get I think together a lot of things done. And during that time, I think maybe one time with Jerry Colangelo, a really close friend of mine who's the president of the Diamondbacks and the Suns, I thought about maybe leaving Indiana and going somewhere else. But not... But
did you ever think they would get rid of you?
If you'll give me a chance, I'll get to that. But I just really didn't consider that. I thought I would stay here and coach till I was done coaching, which I'm certainly not now. I mean, there's no way I'm done coaching. But in recent years, things have changed. Administration has changed. The athletic department has changed. And for some people, that may be good. For me, it hasn't been. It just has not been the kind of situation that I've been used to here, and I've known for I think several years that this was not the same situation that I've been in, and as recently as July, I gave some serious consideration toward another job, and have in the last couple of years. But
you mean the job at Delaware?
Well, no, not that. That was consideration after the fact. But I don't think that my thinking about another job quite overrode the feeling that I had for Indiana University and the kids that we had here, the kids that were coming, the kids that have been here, what we've put together and built here at Indiana. I wanted to, more than anything, wanted to see us get back. And we've had some periods. We've never been mediocre. We've always been really good or pretty good as a team. And more than anything, I wanted to see us get back to being really good. And I kind of hung on to that thought for several years now, 4 or 5 years, and probably should have gone somewhere else. Simply and there would be somebody that was a better fit as a basketball coach for this administration and these people than I am. And there's a place somewhere that's a better fit for me as a basketball coach. See those hands, Jeremy? That haven't lost haven't lost quick hands. And there's some place that's a better fit for me as a basketball coach than Indiana is right now.
Are you embarrassed? You've been fired in a very public fashion. Your job taken away from you, a job you just said you would hope to have until you gave it up. Are you embarrassed?
No, not at all. What I am is proud. I am really proud of what our basketball program turned out at Indiana. I mean, I'm not going to single this player out and that player out because I miss players, but I'm just so proud of the kind of kid that we've turned out here and the kind of men that these kids have developed into. I'm really proud of the accomplishments that these kids had. This is something that with past administrators, John Ryan and Bill Orwig were the two people that hired me to come here. And I think they've been the two people that probably more than anybody else because they got me started. And a guy that's been with me, a former administrator since day one, was Ed Williams. So there are people that have just been a part of this, but it's been the players and all the coaches that we've had here. And we've put together over the years kind of woven an atmosphere of success academically, athletically, after graduation that I think all of us are really proud of. So that's how I feel about what's happened here over all the years. And now that my time at Indiana has been terminated. And my mistake, I think, was just kind of overstaying the situation. The situation changed, people changed, and we have a different philosophy. We have a different approach to things. We look at things differently. I think we interpret words differently, even.
Well, do you regret now, Bob, that considered, that you didn't resign on May 15th, that you didn't say, all right, I've had enough. These conditions are conditions I cannot live up to.
You know,
your own wife, your own son said you should resign. Why didn't you?
Well, they did. And you know, I don't know. Maybe I was dumb. I mean,
that's a possibility.
Well, it's not an unusual thing for me to be dumb on occasion. But that, I think in retrospect, that's exactly the thing that I should have done. But I didn't do it because of the kids that we have here. These kids came here because of me. They came here to play for me, and I felt this in my mind, so I thought that I have an obligation to these kids. I think these kids understand today that they've got a chance to go out and still play. I mean, whether I'm here or not, they can have a really good basketball team. They can enjoy it. They can play. And I think for my sake, I think it would have been far better for me, recognizing as I did, long before May, that this just wasn't a situation for me, that I should have just gotten out of the situation.
You didn't get out. You didn't resign. Instead, you agreed to the terms of the zero-tolerance policy. What did zero tolerance mean to you?
Nobody ever explained that to me, Jeremy.
What did it mean to you?
I asked the vice president of the university as recently as last Thursday. I said, can you explain zero tolerance to me? And he looked me right in the eye and said, no, I can't. So zero tolerance to me, then, when I'm left on my own to interpret it.
But President Brand said he made it very clear. He made it very clear the types of behavior that would be acceptable and those that wouldn't be acceptable.
Well,
is he not telling the truth?
Well, he may think he did, but I have no idea what zero tolerance is. There was never anything said. What if I get a technical foul in a game? Is that zero tolerance?
Did you ask him for a definition?
I asked a lot of people for, as I said, I just as recently as last week, asked the vice president for the definition of zero tolerance. I asked Dr. Williams, who's a former executive vice president, for a definition of zero tolerance. And he was a guy that was kind of working back and forth between the president's office and me. For what reason, I really don't know. That was not my choice. That was the president's choice. But he had no idea of the definition of zero tolerance.
You said you wanted to set the record straight concerning the reasons that President Brand gave on Sunday for firing you. We want to play some of his comments for you, have you respond to them. The first thing he said was that you displayed an unwillingness to work with your superior in the athletic department, the athletic director, Clarence Doninger.
There was a continued unwillingness by Coach Knight to work within the normal chain of command in the IU athletics department. I personally asked Coach Knight on May 13th to resume the normal chain of command with Athletics Director Clarence Doniger, and he has adamantly refused to do that.
There was nothing that came up from May 13th to the present, where I need to interact with the athletic director in any way. Nothing was scheduling, recruiting, budget, anything. The assistant athletic director, Steve Downing, a former player of mine, worked with things. My contract calls for me to control basketball and to run basketball, which I did. There was never a reason for me to ask of anything, nor was anything ever asked of me during that time.
So is that a fabrication?
Well, I don't know whether he may have a feeling that I didn't work with the athletic director. There may be something that he thought I should have done. Perhaps he thought I should have had weekly meetings with. I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. All I know is that we were able to conduct basketball since May 13th, whenever or whatever the date was, without the necessity for doing anything with the athletic director during that time. Nor at any time since May 13th has the athletic director ever asked me to sit down, to talk, told me that he needed to see me or for any reason.
President Brand gave another reason. He said there was inappropriate.
Wait.
Let's just get to this one, Bob, and then we'll come back.
No, Jeremy, just wait a second. And what we're talking about here is interpretation. Maybe he interprets something one way, I interpret another way. And communication has not been particularly good here. When I have not heard from the athletic director, nor have not heard personally from the president, then and I didn't try to attempt to talk to either of them.
Well, why not?
Well, there wasn't really any need to, in my mind.
But you just said you didn't know anything about what the zero tolerance policy would entail. Didn't you have some curiosity?
Oh, I asked several people.
But you said you didn't. Why didn't you ask the president or the athletic director?
Well, I'm asking people that are emissaries of the president. And when they don't know, I don't know where they go to get it. They had an opportunity to go get it themselves and bring it back to me.
Don't you think he would answer your phone calls, President Brand?
And I would certainly answer his.
Another reason President Brand gave for firing you was an incident with a female official at the university, a university lawyer. You were having a discussion, I understand, concerning the $30,000 fine that the university had imposed. Here's what President Brand had to say.
There has been an incident in the recent past in which Coach Knight verbally abused a high-ranking female university official in the presence of other persons. This angry outburst in his office was completely unnecessary and inappropriate.
Bob, is that true?
The person he's talking about is Dottie Frapwell, who's a university attorney. We were in my office with another attorney discussing a matter completely unrelated to any of this. Dottie is a person, and I've told her this, and I've told other people this, that I had a lot of respect for and that I genuinely liked. I got a letter from Dottie outlining how this fine was going to be paid. And the letter had very erroneously figured out the way to pay it in terms of what it was eventually going to cost. And without getting into all the details there, we had to go, my accountant had to go 4 different times to make sure this was straightened out correctly.
But did you scream at her, Bob?
Would you let me finish, Jeremy?
I'll let you finish.
Thank you.
But the gist of this is, did you treat her in a manner that you should be treating her?
Jeremy, I'm trying to explain that if you'll just give me the chance.
Go ahead.
All right. Now, when I was with Dottie in the office, I had at that time, I think, developed something of a negative attitude toward the entire administration for a number of reasons. And I'm sure it came through there. We went through what I thought we had to do. I asked Dottie if there was anything else that I had to do with her. Do you need me for anything else? Is there anything that needs to be done with you? Have we done everything with you? And she said that we had, and I said, well, then I would like to just finish this with the other attorney. And I would just, as soon that you leave the office and leave the 2 of us finish it. Now, if that's abuse, then that's abuse.
That's all that it was.
Depending upon who interprets that. There were 5 people outside the door of my office.
But you're suggesting now that you didn't scream at her.
I did not scream at her. I did not yell at her.
Did you swear at her?
No, I did not use profanity. I did not talk in a voice any higher than I'm talking to you now. If that is interpreted by anybody as abuse, that's their interpretation.
The university spokesman, Christopher Simpson, said you were abusive. He wasn't there, but he obviously spoke to Dottie Frapwell.
Well, that's his interpretation.
We're moving on to another comment that President Brand made on Sunday. He gave another reason for your dismissal.
And he happens to be a guy that puts a lot of interesting spins on a lot of things for a lot of people.
On Friday, a student, a freshman at this university, Ken Harvey, accused you of accosting him at Assembly Hall. You held a press conference later that day in which you denied speaking rudely to him or bruising his arm, which is what he said had happened. He said there were scratches on his arm. Let's hear President Brand's description of that event.
We have a well-publicized incident in which Coach Knight had a confrontation with a 19-year-old IU student in front of Assembly Hall. The IU police are investigating this matter and have completed their preliminary findings. They have talked to 7 people and have 2 more persons with whom to talk, but we believe they have settled the factual aspects of the case. The coach reached out and initiated physical contact with the student on his arm, and the two had, according to varying accounts, an uncomfortable exchange. It is not in dispute that the coach reached out and grasped the young man's arm in an unwelcome fashion. The severity of the act is in dispute, however.
Bob, you already said on Friday that the contact, in your opinion, was not inappropriate, that you did not bruise him, that you took him lightly by the elbow, and then you told him that he should be more polite, address you as Coach Knight or Mr. Knight. But considering the zero-tolerance policy, considering your history, considering everything, the fact that you wanted this job, why did you go over and touch him at all?
Because I think that's something, Jeremy, that I would probably do under the same circumstances tomorrow and the next day and the day after that. And right along with the zero-tolerance policy is something else that comes into play. There were some comments apparently made that I had refused to speak at previously scheduled varsity club outings. There were no previously scheduled varsity club outings, first of all, none.
Your contract stipulates that you appeared 4, and you were going to appear
at 4 times. And 2 of them must be varsity club outings. I had in June participated in 2 different varsity club outings. Now, that leaves 2 outings for me to participate in. At the advice of my lawyer, I stuck to those 4 outings, those 4 necessary outings. And he told me that I just could not afford to expose myself to these outings. You've mentioned zero tolerance. I look at zero tolerance. I didn't teach a class this year that I've taught for 28 years. I'm the only coach in basketball or football in the Big Ten that has taught a class in the last 20 years. And I didn't teach it because if you're a student and you don't like something I've said to you, you get a C and you thought you should have gotten an A. Is that a violation of zero tolerance?
But Bob, that's what makes this situation on Thursday at Assembly Hall even more mystifying, that you were so cognizant of the possibilities, that you said last year you knew people were going to bait you, and then you took the bait. Did you not?
Jeremy, what I did with that student was simply try to teach him something about manners. And I said I'd do it tomorrow, and I'll do it the next day.
And he said he was being rude.
Because that's the way that I've brought it up. Well, it's nice that you would say that. Because all I said was, son, I'm not, hi, Knight. I'm Coach Knight or Mr. Knight. And I don't address people by their last name, and you shouldn't either. Always remember that with elders. Now, Jeremy, let me finish what I was saying before you interrupted me. So we're going back to the situation where...
You're talking about the university alumni meetings?
The 4 meetings, okay? So on the advice of my attorney, I spoke at the 4 only. Usually I've spoken at more than 4, maybe 6, 8, whatever. But just 4 this time. The other 2 that I chose were a cancer fundraiser with the Southern Indiana Alumni Association and a speech to the student body in Assembly Hall that I've given many, many times over the years to show the students, thank the students for the support they give the basketball team, encourage them to continue to giving that support, which I hope they'll continue to do right now. So those are my 4 things. I'm not sure how you can argue against raising money for cancer or speaking to the students. Now, on the advice of counsel, as I said, those were the 4 spots. There were no regularly scheduled alumni luncheons in Chicago, Indianapolis, or Bloomington. Those schedules had not even been set yet.
So you're saying this is a false pretense for your fire?
Well,
one of several.
That statement is false, because a lady came into my office and asked me in front of my wife, what dates do I want to speak in Chicago and Indianapolis? This was the 1st of August, and I explained to her that I wasn't going to speak at those luncheons and why. And the same thing with the Bloomington luncheon, which would fit right into the speech that I would make to the students, and anybody wanting to come was welcome to.
Just one last thing about Ken Harvey. Ken Harvey, the young man, 19-year-old from a community about 20 miles from here, has received now numerous death threats. He's been advised by the police to leave town, which in fact he has. His image has been burned in effigy on campus. Don't you feel an obligation now to use your bully pulpit? Your words have impact in this community to say, lay off Ken Harvey.
Hey, I'd be the first person to say that. This was a kid, like I was caught in some circumstances. Here's a kid caught in some circumstances that I think was really flustered by what took place. And maybe he just came upon me very quickly, recognized me, was surprised to see somebody that he was used to seeing on television. I think it would be ridiculous to associate anything other than surprise and being flustered with what this youngster had to say. And I would certainly hope that anything that would be as untoward as what you've just mentioned would cease very quickly.
Are you going to mention that when you address the student body tomorrow night?
Well, you have to come and listen. I didn't think that I was scheduled to make my speech to the student body here tonight.
That's what had been previously reported. One other thing. Christopher Simpson, the university spokesman, said you were told repeatedly, constantly, that each step along the way, each of these reasons Miles Brand gave for firing you, put you on thin ice. Were you aware of that? Did they tell you?
That, from Christopher Simpson, is totally untrue.
They never warned you?
Totally.
None of these
Christopher
incidents.
Simpson is totally untrue.
So you had no idea as these incidents, as they said, were accumulating. The incidents, the reasons that Miles Brand gave on Sunday, they never warned you?
You asked me if Christopher Simpson had kept me informed of that?
No, I didn't ask you if
yes,
Christopher...
you did.
No, I said Christopher Simpson said you had been informed. I didn't say did he, did anyone?
Well, he did not, nor did anyone else.
Coach, thanks very much. We'll take a break right now. When we return, we'll discuss Bob Knight's future and the future of Indiana basketball.
Reaching excellence is a goal. Achieving excellence requires hard work. Curry Buick Cadillac has spent 85 years working hard to make car buying easy. From the very beginning, Curry Buick Cadillac knew that selling quality automobiles was only part of the reason that people purchased cars. Superior service, comfort, convenience, and a low-key approach to sales have become the cornerstones of our commitment to the customer. Curry Buick Cadillac, achieving excellence one customer at a time.
If you start with shelter insurance when you're young, you can get car insurance with protection you'll want for a lifetime. And when you need insurance for your first home, talk to us first, because we'll be there when you need us. And when you make additions to your family, we'll make sure you have the life insurance you need to protect them. Shelter Insurance, we'll always be there for you.
For service, contact Clay Peterson on East 3rd in Bloomington or Bruce Arnold on Highway 46 in Ellettsville.
Tomorrow, Pendant Fever heats up on ESPN and ESPN2. At 7 on ESPN, the Red Sox battle the Indians for a wild card berth. On ESPN2 at 7, the Yankees take on Carlos Delgado and the Jays. Then at 10 on ESPN, the Royals nip at the Mariners. While on ESPN2, it's the Dodgers D-backs in a wild card tug-of-war. At 7, Red Sox Indians, Blue Jays Yankees. At 10, Royals Mariners, Dodgers D-backs. Tomorrow.
There's a moment as I bite into a Wendy's classic double with cheese when everything around me seems to come to a stop. My senses focus on that hot and juicy beef and cool, crisp toppings. For that frozen moment, I am in a perfect state of hamburger bliss. Of course, nothing lasts forever. Then again, I can always come back tomorrow. Hamburger Bliss. It comes with every Wendy's Classic hamburger.
Wow, this is nutty.
You're sweating like crazy.
You got TV cameras all over you.
The last thing you want is this white clumpy thing running down your arm.
It's just rude.
We asked some of the hottest pros under the sun to switch antiperspirants.
Degree Invisible Solid? What's that? I would assume it goes on clear, but I'm not sure I believe that.
When your body heats up, Degree Invisible Solid releases extra protection with a clear difference.
Right there. See, there's no white stuff. The harder I work, the harder it works. No flaking, no funk, no Klingons.
Degree Invisible Solid. Works hard but never shows.
After the match, there's a ton of girls.
You gotta be cool.
We're back now with Coach Bob Knight, former coach at Indiana University. Bob, the meeting Sunday night at Assembly Hall, you flew back from your fishing trip. You addressed your troops at Assembly Hall. It was an emotional meeting. What happened?
Well, I just told the kids that I was no longer going to be the coach. There was no problem in that for them, that these guys just had to play and had to play basketball and had to look at their futures. And I had told them the first time we got together after school started that this was a team that could be a very, very good team. We've had some really good additions made to that team, and I had said then that they could be good, and I told them on Sunday that there was no reason that they couldn't be just as good as I thought they could be.
How difficult was it to address them as their coach for the last time?
Well, you know, I would have liked to have been addressing them as to what we were going to do the next week, but I've been in front of teams almost all my life, and the difficulty was in that these were kids that we had worked really hard to get together to play. And now, as an example, I'd spent all summer with an offensive set. And in my mind, while I'm fishing or traveling, thought who's going to play here and who's going to play here and who's the best guy in this spot, to do all the things that we do in our motion offense, but do them in a little more defined way. And now I won't be able to do that with these kids, but I'm looking for kids that I can do it with. I'll you know, I haven't retired. You know, I'm an unemployed teacher right now, and I'm looking for a place to teach. And I want to see how this offense works. I want to see how some thoughts I have on defense work. I mean, there are too many things that I have yet to explore about the game of basketball.
How important is it to you, you're only 117 victories away from Dean Smith's record, to break the record, to be the winningest college basketball coach of all time?
Totally unimportant. And kind of interesting.
Really? Not at all?
No, I could care less about that. I've never cared about those things. Some guys brought some stuff from my locker today, and it was kind of interesting. My son, Pat, who I think is the real victim in this whole thing. I mean, Pat has just worked very, very hard and very well, helping us recruit these kids, putting them in the right frame of mind, getting them together. And now Pat, in the beginning of a career, wants to coach, and he's been dismissed from his job along with me.
But Coach,
let me finish, Jeremy.
Coach,
he's the victim in this.
Yeah, but
Pat is the victim in this now.
He's the victim, but if you had abided by the rules, would he have been the victim? Would he still have his job?
I don't think I had any chance to abide by the rules.
Why not?
Let's get back to Pat, okay? Now, with Pat and our situation where it was, now we have to find another place. But again, before you interrupted me, and you have a real faculty for doing that.
Thank you.
No, I don't think it's anything to really be too proud of myself. I think when I talked about Pat...
Bob, you came here to do an interview. I'm asking you questions.
When I talked... Well, then let me finish the answer.
Okay.
Is that okay,
Go
Jeremy?
ahead.
Is that fair enough?
Please, go right
Have
ahead.
I interrupted your questions yet?
Yes.
No, I haven't. You've interrupted my answers with your questions, and then I've tried to get back. So let me finish this. You got a long way to go to be as good as your dad. You better keep that in mind.
I appreciate it.
What I was trying to say is that Pat came into the house and he said, Dad, he said, let me tell you what I found in the bottom of your locker under some old shirts. He found 2 basketballs that were marked with my 600th and 700th victories under a pile of old shirts in the bottom of my locker. So I think that indicates to you how important total victories are to me.
I spoke to Pat yesterday. He said that you guys had already received several calls. People are interested. Has anyone called you yet offering you a job?
People have called me.
Who?
I don't, who?
Which universities, which athletic directors?
You know, it slips my mind at the moment.
How much do you want to coach again?
Well, that's all I want to do. I mean, that's what I am as a coach. If I had to put my occupation on my passport, it would be teacher. Teacher, coach. That's what I am. I'm looking for a situation like I had for years and years at Indiana, where we turned out great kids, where great kids came here, where I had a rapport with people in the administration, where we were going down the same path, and I'm sure I'm not right for every administration, and every administration isn't right for me. Very few of us are men for all seasons. Very few of us are St. Thomas Aquinas, and I want to coach in the worst way, and I want to see more kids come out of our program like the kids that have come out of our program here. Now, heck, I've got a lot of years yet to coach, and that's what I'd like to do.
Well, tell me, Bob, if an athletic director is watching this, and I'm sure many are, why should he hire you? If you couldn't get along with your last athletic director or the current president of Indiana University?
Well, I think he should hire me because I figured it out one time, and I basically have worked for about 43 people. And at one point, I thought there were 3 people that I hadn't gotten along with. Now I think there are 5 out of 43. So over my career in coaching, and I'm talking about superintendents at West Point, commandants, athletic directors that I've had. I've worked for, I think, 9 different athletic directors and have gotten along pretty well with 7 of them. Superintendents, presidents, 42 people, and I really have gotten along well with 37 of them. So that's a pretty good percentage.
Bob, you coached the 1984 U.S. Olympic team to a gold medal. There were 2 players on that team, Sam Perkins and Wayman Tisdale, who were asked once, if you were an animal, what animal would you be? Sam Perkins said a shark. Wayman Tisdale said a pussycat. Is it possible that they were both right?
Could be, or maybe somewhere in between.
Where do you see yourself on that scale?
You know, I never look at myself like others try to, Jeremy. I just have always felt that I've got to be me. I can't be something that someone is trying to construct. I can't be something that I'm not to satisfy people. I try to be fair. I try to be honest. I have a philosophy about things that differs from people, and I think that's a basic problem in this whole situation. My philosophy and my approach to things is just different than some people in this situation.
Bob, with everything you've achieved in coaching, all of the titles, the gold medals, all of the players you've graduated, the high percentage, which is remarkable, are you concerned about your legacy? Are you concerned that when people think of Bob Knight, they're first going to think of Neil Reed and Jeanette Hart-Graves and the circumstances surrounding your dismissal?
I think there'll be people that might think of things like that. Those are 2 very, very minor functionaries to think about who, again, have some problem relating exactly what happened. I think the people that yeah, I am saying that to be factual about it. But I think the people that evaluate my legacy, as you call it, are a lot different than that kind of person. They're people that I think we'll look at what I've done, and I have no problem with how I've worked with kids and what has been turned out from what we've done.
Bob, you're a historian. You appreciate history. You know of tragedies. With everything you've done here, do you feel that you're a character now in this tragic opera, really? I mean, this has the elements of tragedy. Can you appreciate that?
See, I don't think there's anything tragic about it. I think it's a group of people that didn't particularly get along with a guy, and a guy that really couldn't fit in with a group of people. So that group of people needs to go somewhere else. And that one guy needs to go somewhere else. Let me define tragedy for you. You know, my wife has a really close friend that's undergoing traumatic cancer surgery right now. That's tragedy. What's happened here about a job and what could take place there, there's nothing tragic
I certainly didn't want to equate this with human tragedy, but this is dramatic tragedy.
I just wanted to kind of define tragedy for you.
What's next? What do you do this year?
Oh, I don't know. I may go fishing tomorrow. I may work on my offense tomorrow. I may go look at some tapes tomorrow. There's never a day goes by that I don't work on basketball, and I'll continue to do that.
Bob, thanks very much for your time. That's Bob Knight, the former coach of Indiana University basketball team. Now back to Bob Lee in Bristol.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. Bob Knight calling himself an unemployed teacher, saying he should have quit back in May, saying he had overstayed his welcome at Indiana University with a change in athletic and school administration, saying no one had ever explained zero tolerance to him. Knight did not directly answer the question whether he had talked to Miles Brand and asked for a definition of zero tolerance from the university president. Knight also saying it was totally untrue that he was ever warned that these accumulation of incidents since mid-May until last weekend, that he was on thin ice. He said, for anyone to say that is totally untrue. Knight saying I had no chance to abide by the rules. We will continue with the SportsCenter special as we talk with and about Bob Knight. I'll be talking with the gentleman on the left, the head coach at Maryland, Gary Williams, and the gentleman on the right, Dane Fife, who is perhaps about to continue his basketball career at Indiana University as we continue following our live conversation with Bob Knight, an ESPN SportsCenter special, Bob Knight Live.
Tonight, we had the perfect meal for us. The Olive Garden's never-ending pasta bowl. You pick any of their special pastas, and you get all the free refills you want, plus all the salad and breadsticks for $7.95. Good thing I was born hungry. The Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family.
Now there's more reasons than ever to join AOL.
If I knew it was this easy, I would have started a long time ago.
You got mail!
Instant messages are better than being on the telephone.
AOL parental controls help safeguard your kids.
There's an 800 number that you can call 24 hours a day. On AOL, your privacy and security are always protected.
AOL has it all.
They just keep making it better and better and better.
There's no better time to join. America Online. So easy to use, no wonder it's #1. Call now, 1-800-4ONLINE.
For people who are extremely demanding, the new Schick Extreme 3. Triple blade performance, pivoting action, a perfect grip. And best of all, after a whole bunch of great shaves, you just serve up another one, which is extremely convenient. The new Schick Extreme 3.
Tonight, we had the perfect meal for us. The Olive Garden's never-ending pasta bowl. You pick any of their special pastas, and you get all the free refills you want, plus all the salad and breadsticks for $7.95. Good thing I was born hungry. The Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family.
ESPN Magazine. Stuart Scott wants the fleece. Booyah! Stuart, only brand new subscribers get the free fleece.
Everyone wants our warm, roomy fleece pullover. It's free with your paid subscription to ESPN the magazine.
Maybe you want to take out another subscription.
Call now for ESPN the magazine. Get 26 issues, a year's worth for just $1 an issue. And your fleece pullover is free. 1-800-972-8448.
It's not Duke, Carolina, but the feud between the field reporters and the anchors runs pretty deep.
Hey, move the utility van, Schwartz. I got work to do.
How about me? Put me on the program. Hey, guys. What's up?
Why don't you go work on another story we're not going to air?
With them, you got to watch your back.
Watch it, Bureau boy.
You want a piece of me, desk jockey?
Can get pretty ugly.
So we've heard from Bob Knight on his firing and his future. Now to add some context, we welcome from Silver Spring, Maryland, the head basketball coach of the University of Maryland, Gary Williams, and from Bloomington, where it appears he may be about to begin his junior season with the Hoosiers, Dane Fife. Dane, let me ask you, are you staying now? Is it official?
Yes, I am. I'm going to be here, and I'm going to be a Hoosier for the next 2 years.
In a capsule, what did you think of what you just heard from your coach?
Well, I mean, that's the same story he told us in the locker room, and the big question to everybody is, you know, do you believe him or do you not? And that's up for, you know, the rest of the people to decide.
Gary, what'd you think? Here's a man charged with uncivil behavior, boorish behavior, and speaking rather moderately for 30 minutes and avoiding the topic of the emotion with the team in the locker room the other evening. Your impressions of this conversation?
Well, I think he told his side of the story, the way he perceives things to happen. And I think the only people that really know are the administration and Coach Knight himself. So it's hard to sit here and try to decide who's right or who's wrong in the way they perceive the issue.
But the school president, Gary, goes out and puts out a list of particulars in front of the entire North American landmass. Wouldn't you think that the university president felt fairly confident that these things had occurred?
Well, I'm sure that's the way he perceives it, Bob. Obviously, Coach Knight doesn't look at it the same way, but I think when you're an administrator, you have certain responsibilities that you have to do. He was under a great deal of pressure to come up with reasons why that he made his decision, and they were his reasons. And I think the response that Bob Knight gave to those reasons was very interesting.
Gary, do you share the opinion that, as Bob expressed it, he should have resigned? When you were looking from the outside, should he have quit back in May?
Well, probably, because once you get into a situation like that, even if there wasn't a zero-tolerance policy, things were never going to be the same. And Bob Knight had a situation coaching in Indiana. I was at Ohio State from '86 to '89 coaching against him in the Big Ten, and just to see how that whole state was behind him, how everybody respected him. He was the most powerful person in that state by far during the period I was at Ohio State, and very few coaches are into that situation. Once you're used to that and have been able to coach in that situation for a long time, it must be very difficult to have that reined in where you can't have the same freedom that you once did.
Did he have too much autonomy in his program?
Well, he had as much autonomy as any coach I've seen, and that's coaching in the Big East, the ACC, and the Big Ten. And that's great if you're the coach, and he certainly did a great job in the academic area, in the basketball area, obviously. The other incidents, you know, were there. I think there comes a feeling in those situations where you might be above a lot of the things that the rest of the coaches, the rest of the people have to go through sometimes.
Dane, let me ask you, Coach made it clear he believes the administration was more or less out to get him. Do you think that was the case?
Well, we totally believe that, and we've firmly stood by that since day one. We believe that since they didn't make the decision in May, it was going to be made eventually once the year started. For one reason or another, he was put in position to fail.
Did you think he could abide by zero tolerance? I mean, you've played for him for 2 seasons. Do you think that guy could abide by it?
Well, it's funny that you asked that, Mr. Lee, because just 2 days before the incident, the latest allegation happened, you know, we were joking around, you know, he's saying, you know, guys, I can do this. This is no problem for me. And then, you know, I wake up one morning and my roommate comes in and says, Dane, you know, Coach, some kid is, you know, accused Coach of grabbing him and assaulting him, and you know, it was just baffling.
Well, he had said he thought he could 2 days in front of this incident abide by zero tolerance, or at least that's what he told the team. Did you notice any change in him from May until the last week?
Well, completely.
How so?
Coaching us, he was a lot calmer. He wasn't yelling. You know, people would come in and see our workouts, and he's trying to remain calm and not get too upset with us. And you know, he's always complimentary, but he'd come down on the floor and work with us and teach us. You know, he's there a lot more.
Is it fair to say it was a more civil practice than it was?
Well, he's just a little calmer. You know,
so he was trying. You believe he was trying?
Yeah, he was. His tactics were the same, but he was just calmer, more collected, and you know, it's just tragic, this whole situation.
Gary, do you believe on a lot of armchair psychology going on over the last 4 months about Bob Knight, that the volatile brilliance had to exist for him to be a coach of such success, that he needed that manic spark, and that to make him, to calm him down would be to dull the edges of his coaching brilliance?
Well, I think when you talk about the history of college basketball, especially coaching, Bob Knight's right there with John Wooden or anyone else you want to put at that very top level. And obviously, he's very brilliant, and with that comes some things that sometimes aren't the same for everybody. And when you're successful, I think there's a tendency to overlook some things. And maybe in the last 4 or 5 years, Indiana hasn't been as successful. They've still been very good, but not winning the national championships or whatever. And people all of a sudden feel that they can say more things about your program. They're not as intimidated because of the perceived lack of success compared to national championships. And, you know, they've set the bar very high at Indiana, let's face it. I mean, when people in Indiana talk about Indiana basketball, they think Big Ten championships and national championships.
Are you suggesting, though, that if they were coming off a Big Ten championship or a Final Four appearance, that Bob Knight would still be there given all the other factors on the table?
Well, I think that would be a much more difficult decision for the president of the university to make and the board of trustees if they were coming off of a Big Ten championship or a national championship.
Dane, you players had a lot of power. Were you aware of how much power? I mean, if all the players who had talked about transferring had left would have decimated this coming season, did you strategically try and use that power in getting Mike Davis the job?
Well, there's no question. As we've stated, we are a family, and one of our players said it best when they said we lost our pillar, but we haven't lost our foundation yet, and that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to keep this team together and go on and try to win a championship, and we felt by losing Coach Davis and Coach Treloar, you know, that the team wouldn't be the same. They bring in a new coach. He totally changed our system, the way we play, and it was too late for that. The season had begun.
Gary, in one sentence, what is the lesson in all of this for other coaches?
Well, I think you have to keep track of your situation, where you are with your program, and to make sure that you understand what the people that you work with and work for expect out of you.
Gary Williams and Dane Fife, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us this evening on a SportsCenter special as we have talked live with Bob Knight, and we will continue to tell you about what's ahead on ESPN Classic and how you can follow the story on ESPN.com. We'll be right back.
High Endurance Red Zone. The strongest form of wetness protection Old Spice has ever made, just for guys who sweat big. Nothing is stronger. Guaranteed. Or call 1-800-PROVE-IT and Old Spice will buy you a stick of yours. Red Zone.
Nikita Selovalnikov, lane 7, Hans Meyer, lane 8, Kenny Dunkel.
Now anyone can get into the Olympic Games. Sydney 2000 from IDOS Interactive.
There's a moment as I bite into a Wendy's classic double with cheese when everything around me seems to come to a stop. My senses focus on that hot and juicy beef and cool, crisp toppings. For that frozen moment, I am in a perfect state of hamburger bliss. Of course, nothing lasts forever. Then again, I can always come back tomorrow. Hamburger bliss. It comes with every Wendy's classic hamburger.
Wow, this is nutty.
Oh, yes, a brilliant move. Galvez scampering across the goal to stop it. They just couldn't seem to get enough players forward before. He's showing good fluid movement. To the right, the left. This is another aggressive charge down the flank. He's timed his run to absolute perfection. 2 defenders to beat. He's passed one. Is it looking like a chance as he takes the shot in?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Man, I'm hungry. What, $1 for a sliver of raw fish?
It's sushi.
Sushi? Where I'm from, we call that stuff bait.
What else can you get for just $1?
Well, I can get a 20-minute phone call for only 99 cents.
Quit kidding around.
No, it's true. Dial 10-10-220. It's just 99 cents for all calls up to 20 minutes.
And just 7 cents a minute after that.
And get this, there's no monthly fee.
10-10-220 really is a great deal.
We know. Hey,
Dial 10-10-220.
ESPN's 2-Minute Drill, the ultimate sports quiz show, Mondays at 7.
ESPN Classic on Friday evening devotes a night to the former head coach at Indiana, Bob Knight. 9 p.m. Eastern, a SportsCenter flashback. A Classic Sports Reporters on Knight's life at 10 Eastern. At 10:30, Classic Conversations. And at 11 Eastern, a repeat of a 1997 up-close primetime visit with the then Indiana head coach. Up close tomorrow focuses on the change. Michigan State's Tom Izzo will join Gary Miller along with Knight's mentor and coaching idol Pete Newell, as well as critic Murray Sperber at 5:30 Eastern Wednesday and again at 11:30 Pacific. And, of course, ESPN.com continues to follow this story. Still ahead, I'll talk with a man who has spent the last 2 days with Bob Knight, his close friend and former coaching adversary, Digger Phelps.
Reaching excellence is a goal. Achieving excellence requires hard work. Curry Buick Cadillac has spent 85 years working hard to make car buying easy. From the very beginning, Curry Buick Cadillac knew that selling quality automobiles was only part of the reason that people purchased cars. Superior service, comfort, convenience, and a low-key approach to sales have become the cornerstones of our commitment to the customer. Curry Buick Cadillac, achieving excellence one customer at a time.
Have you been to Comfort Solutions lately? Well, now is the perfect time to visit us and see some of today's most popular styles, like a traditional Mission Oak bedroom combination, or take home this warm and inviting Picket Ridge. And don't forget, Comfort Solutions has luxurious leather and upholstered sofas, chairs, and love seats. Plus, be sure to check out our excellent selection of bedding at guaranteed low prices, including the all-new no-flip Simmons Beauty Rest mattress. Beauty, function, durability, and price all come together at Comfort Solutions. Come see the bright new changes today at Comfort Solutions in Eastland Plaza.
College football Saturday at noon.
Maryland's Lamont Jordan, one of the best backs I saw all of last year.
Can they top the Mountaineers? Then at 6.
Indiana quarterback Antoine Randall can run, throw, and everything in between.
He'll face the Kentucky gunslinger. At 9, Derek Nix takes on the Tide in the electrifying Freddie Miller. College game day at 11 on ESPN, followed by Maryland versus West Virginia at noon. Indiana versus Kentucky at 6. Southern Miss versus Alabama at 9. Saturday on ESPN2.
Tonight, we had the perfect meal for us. The Olive Garden's never-ending pasta bowl. You pick any of their special pastas, and you get all the free refills you want, plus all the salad and breadsticks for $7.95. Good thing I was born hungry. The Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family.
They're not coming out. We're going in to get them. You're always hot. You're always sweating. It's a cat and mouse game.
We have some of the hottest detectives on the street to switch antiperspirant.
Degree Ultra Dry. Body heat activated.
Does this work? When your body heat rises, Degree's powerful Ultra Dry form releases extra protection when you need it most.
When the pressure is on, the heat is on, Degree kept up with me. It kept me dry. Degree kicks butt.
Degree Ultra Dry.
That stuff kicks in and takes care of business.
Your body heat turns it on.
Book 'em.
Tonight, we had the perfect meal for us. The Olive Garden's never-ending pasta bowl. You pick any of their special pastas, and you get all the free refills you want, plus all the salad and breadsticks for $7.95. Good thing I was born hungry. The Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family.
And we continue with our SportsCenter special, our live conversation with Bob Knight. We continue to analyze what was said this evening. Digger Phelps is a studio analyst for ESPN, but it is in his capacity as Bob Knight's close friend that he joins us. He spent several days with him, Digger, and in fact, you spent last night at the Knight home in Bloomington. What didn't Bob Knight say that you know he is feeling in his heart right now?
I really think there's disappointment in how all this was handled. Ironically, when I walked in the house last night, the first thing we talked about, which is typical Bob Knight, we talked about his fishing trip in Siberia and how his wife Karen just froze over there. And I said, well, wasn't it in August? Yeah, but it's still cold. And I think once we got into a comfortable setting, it was really the disappointment how since actually May 31st is the last time he heard from Dr. Brand. And since that time, he's never had a phone call until this Friday night at 10:30 when he's ready to leave again and go to Canada on another fishing trip. And that disappointment on how all this came about, which led to his firing. And, Bob, in my opinion, I think Indiana University, Dr. Brand probably wanted to fire him in May. They couldn't because it was the first time they challenged Knight. And whatever happened in the last 17 weeks, they were determined to end his career coaching at Indiana University.
He goes to Dr. Brand's home that Saturday evening, a 2.5, 3-hour meeting, the meeting that essentially at that moment saved his job. Bob Knight is, by many accounts, a brilliant man. How could you, with your job hanging in the balance, how could he not have looked across and asked Miles Brand, what do you mean zero tolerance? It's almost strange credulity to expect that after 4 months nobody came to him and he never asked.
Bob, he wasn't going to survive under zero tolerance. I said that on our show back on May 30th, that I said, Bob, I know you. You're not going to make it through this. You're not going to know and understand how they want to get you. And believe me, when a corporation has a change in administration, yeah, no, I don't know if they're out to get him. I just don't think he was going to survive no matter what they wanted to do to get him out. Sooner or later, it's going to add up, as you saw with Jeremy, how he defended certain situations, talking to his accountant over the $30,000 fine or putting himself into the 4 events. Where can I go where I can't go? I mean, sooner or later, you get both sides of this, but when people want you out, if it's in corporate America, it gets done behind closed doors. It doesn't go to a public arena. This is no different than when we go back to history and look at President Truman firing General MacArthur over the Korean War, and it's the same type of conditions.
Well, and the same sort of reaction. But is it possible that in Bloomington, Indiana, there are a lot of people so close to the situation that they're essentially divorced from the reality that many other people around the country sit here and look at the bill of particulars that Miles Brand presented? Is it possible to be objective about this sitting in Bloomington?
Well, the most important thing is Bob Knight. You either love Bob Knight or you hate Bob Knight, and that's what it comes down to. And those that hate him are going to go after him. Those that love him are going to defend him. And it's a catch-22. He cannot win at Indiana University, but I can see him taking a year off. And I talked to him today about anger management counseling, because if he takes another job, that president and athletic director are going to say to him, have you put yourself in a position to get anger management counseling? I think he's aware of this. I think he will do this in this coming year. How he does it, we're not going to get into specifics, but he definitely wants to coach college basketball as his #1 choice. And I can see him a year from now, a president will stand up once he talks tonight and say, this is the guy we want, because he needs a change, Indiana needs a change, but Bob Knight still wants to coach basketball.
When given a chance in that phone conversation Sunday morning to resign, Bob Knight declined. Why do you think he wanted to force IU's hand?
Honestly, he told me, I didn't think I did anything wrong, and I was leaving to go away, and I was just going to do that. And in his opinion, he didn't do anything wrong from what we see and what we understand from his side of it. But on Indiana's side of it, they said, yes, you're done, you're fired.
Is your good friend in denial?
I don't think he's in denial. I think he's in pain. He's hurting, so's Karen. I think he needs to get away from this and let it go. I know the situation. I went through it at Notre Dame. I think he's in the same situation here. It's time for Bob Knight to move on with his life and put Indiana behind him. They will miss him. It'll be traumatic for the players as well as the alumni fans. And this is the shocker around the country. But he's big enough and strong enough to know, with all these conditions now in front of him, he has a bright future if he's willing to go to anger management counseling and move his life in a new direction.
Digger Phelps, thanks a great deal. There will inevitably be more basketball in Bob Knight's future. Another school certainly will hire him to bring to life a program. The real vigil, however, is on a possible recurrence of the incidents such as the ones that brought to a halt, for now, a career within reach of that all-time coaching record. Attention must be paid to Bob Knight, but for which reason? For Jeremy Schapp in Bloomington, I'm Bob Lee. Thanks for joining us on this SportsCenter special.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. ESPN welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.